Trump and Elon Musk's Doge team have set their sights on dismantling the Department of Education. ABC's Alex Presha is in Washington.
The woman best known for her work in the world of wrestling is now facing off with senators to lead the embattled Department of Education. Linda McMahon, nominated by President Trump to be the next Secretary of Education.
One time in these videos, just one time, I wish that there would be like, here's a program that's getting canceled. Well, this would be the dream. Here's a program that's getting canceled. In depth, this is what the program did. This is why the money shouldn't have gone there.
I agree with him here. That's what I want to do. I agree completely. We're being too vague on certain things. We need to be more precise. At least the ones paying attention. And then you can make it vague for everyone else. What's happened here in the media, alt media space, and this is why the Ashley St. Clair story matters, is that it exposes how incestuous and disingenuous and equally as corrupt the alt media space is as the corporate media space. It's just a different version of the corporate media space. The alt media space X is no better than the corporate media space. On X, you have the top 1% of influencers that dominate the conversation. They make whatever is trending 99% of the time. And one of them was Ashley St. Clair. And the guy who runs the platform, allegedly, I don't know if it was a test tube or if she was bent over a kitchen counter, pops up with his boy. And she was propped up, showing off her receipts. We've seen her with pictures, taking selfies with Lamborghini SUVs, taking pictures with cyber trucks, taking all types of, she's in a $40,000 a month apartment. And she's the one that gets algorithmic boosted and is bragging about making $7,500 in 2 weeks. That's probably what, half their car note for the damn Lamborghini. If that's hers, I don't know if it is or not. That's why that matters to me. And so in that space, we don't get this. Even though Destiny's opinion is to worship the government like it's God, he's right on the structure of, well, I'm going to bring you substance. And I'm going to bring you more substance than the right does. The most substantive that the right gets is actually Nick Fuentes. And it's funny, he gets booted out. If you watch a Nick Fuentes show, it's his monologue, the heart of his show is all substance. I don't know how he does this, like off the top of his head. The dude's a effing genius. And that you can see at one point they were cool. Destiny would go on his show and Nick would go on Destiny's show. Destiny's very bright too. And that's what he means. He's like, I don't have time for these games. What's happening for real?
That's getting canceled. Well, this would be the dream. Here's a program that's getting canceled. In depth, this is what the program did. This is why the money shouldn't have gone there, meaning it wasn't appropriated by Congress or whatever. Therefore, this is why it's within the narrow purview of what Doge should be doing, which is getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. You know, why it's okay.
You see, he's a little bit off there with the, I'm going to keep it going because I interrupt too much. But the appropriations is a big point of contention for me. People, the word appropriate, it basically means to allot. It does not mean to control spending of. So basically, if you work for a company and they pay you, they're appropriating funds to you. They don't get to tell you what you spend those funds on. The power of the purse is with Congress, and that's where it ends. They say how much money is in the purse. That's it. They can't tell the executive branch you have to spend up to the limit. They can't tell the executive branch you can't stop the spending. That was never a power of the Congress, never. It's just to say, this department got this much money. That's it. And their job is done. They have no other role in it. Destiny thinks that Congress can appropriate funds to whatever department in the executive branch, and the president has no say over it. That makes no sense. Obviously, if Congress appropriates funds to some place in the executive branch, and the executive, that branch doesn't spend all the money, That's not a problem. There's no demand that you have to spend all the money. So if you agree with that, then who gets to decide when the spending stops? An executive branch department? Who decides in the executive branch department? The executive. There's only one person in the executive branch, and that's the president.
Do you think it's going to be that? Or do you think it's going to be an incredibly broad, the Department of Education is DEI and woke, and our scores aren't high enough, and so the private system and Catholic schools or whatever are going to do better, and blah, 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 blah.
And next up
No, don't do that. I mean, what states can fund?
in the slate of executive orders is apparently the future of the Department of Education. And TLDR, Trump wants to abolish it. But as are many things in our political landscape right now, education is a very heated issue. And a lot of people don't understand how this would work, if Trump would even be able to abolish it. They don't understand why people even want to get rid of the Department of Education. And they're very concerned with what happens after the Department of Education has been abolished. So we're going to try to break all of that down for you guys, answer some questions. But before we do, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the new channel if you've not already. And of course, ring that notification bell to make sure that you stay up to date on all of our uploads. And of course, if you want ad-free episodes, a weekly advice video from me, and an exclusive newsletter for subscribers only.
It's off topic, but people do the like, comment, subscribe, not just to get people to like, comment, subscribe. It actually helps with the algorithm if YouTube sees that you're trying to get people to engage. Who knows how much, but if Brett Cooper is doing it, then everybody should be.
Make sure to check out my subscriber platform, Cooper Confidential. We have the link right here. We will also have it in the description below, along with my exclusive launch merch. But without further ado, let's of course get back into the topic. So abolishing the Department of Education has been something that has been talked about for years at this point, but in the grand political sense, it has kind of been a fringe issue. Many conservatives and Republicans in Congress are very much against this. They support the Department of Education, and so this issue has really been propped up by libertarians like Justin Amash and limited government conservatives like my favorite Thomas Massie and Rand Paul. And Thomas Massie has actually tried to abolish the Department of Education multiple times at this point. It feels like he is constantly reintroducing a bill to abolish it completely, and yet it never happens. And as recently as last month, he reintroduced it yet again. On January 31st, he said, I just reintroduced HR 899, a one-sentence bill to terminate the Federal Department of Education and return power back to teachers and parents. This is it, the entire bill. And the bill reads, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, Section 1, terminate the Department of Education, and that's it. Literally one line. It is pretty epic. But of course,
That's so freaking epic, bro.
that would never pass in our modern government because, as we know, bills have to be like 700 pages long and chock full of ridiculous random things that our government wants to spend money on. So, of course, this has not passed. But with Trump's comeback with his focus on slimming down government with Elon Musk's influence and the influence of Doge, eliminating this incredibly bloated, incredibly corrupt government department seems more possible than ever. And this time around, with this reintroduction, Massie actually has 30 Republican co-sponsors for this bill. So times are obviously changing. But 30 co-sponsors is still not enough. One article reads, if a bill were to move forward in the House, the GOP would still have to pull support from lawmakers outside of their 53-member Senate majority to reach the 60-vote threshold they need for the legislation to pass. So at this point, we got to keep educating people and we got to pray, which you can do with Hallow. Guys, I'm so excited to share that this episode,
Keep educating people as we destroy the Department of Education. Based.
even though Pray 40 waitlist today. And maybe we can all work together to pray for the state of education because Lord knows our country needs it. Even though Massie has 30 Republican co-sponsors, even though Trump is talking about it, people are still against this. And it makes sense because getting rid of anything education, dealing with education will always be difficult as it is a very emotional and personal issue for people involving their children. And in my opinion, this is because they often conflate the existence of the Department of Education with the existence of public
schools
education in the United States, which is just simply not the case. I think that this comes down to most people
She did it
not
again.
even knowing the history of the Department of Education and the fact that it was
Oh, the history.